You've watched Harry Potter 17 times, Friends 23, and you've seen The Office so often that you know exactly when Jim is about to look at the camera before he actually does. Yet somehow you're about to start season 1, episode 1 all over again. Your partner thinks you're crazy. Netflix has practically stopped trying to recommend anything new. Your kids keep asking why you won't watch something made this decade. But here's what's really happening in your brain when you choose Jim and Pam over thousands of new shows. And no, it doesn't mean you're stuck in the past. In fact, you might be onto something. Let's start with the obvious question. Why would anyone watch a story when they already know exactly what happens? Michael Scott is still going to say, "That's what she said." Ross and Rachel are still getting off the plane together. Harry still defeats Voldemort. Ferris still gets his day off. None of that is a surprise anymore. But your brain is doing something far more interesting than people realize, because knowing what's coming next is actually part of the appeal. Psychologists call this the mere exposure effect. The name sounds a little boring, but the idea explains why you sometimes feel more connected to a sitcom from 20 years ago than to the people living next door. The more familiar something becomes, the more we tend to like it. Simple idea. Surprisingly powerful, and maybe slightly concerning when you think about your relationship with the Princess Bride. Think about your comfort show for a second. Maybe it's Parks and Recreation. Maybe it's Seinfeld. Maybe you've watched Back to the Future more times than you've gone to the gym this year. No judgment. When you put it on, you're not looking for plot twists. You're stepping into something familiar, a kind of cognitive blanket fort. Your brain craves predictability in a world that rarely feels predictable. Did your boss send a weird email today? Watch an episode where you already know exactly how the conflict gets resolved. Bills keep showing up like they own the place. At least Chandler and Monica still end up together. Someone in your life just revealed a personality trait that's testing your patience. Good thing you've memorized every line of The Breakfast Club. And your brain has another little secret. It's actually working less when you rewatch something. That sounds like an insult, but it's one of the biggest reasons people enjoy it. When you're watching something new, your brain goes into detective mode. Who's that character? Why did they say that? What's going to happen next? Is this important, or is it just a weird lamp sitting in the background? It's work. Rewatching is different. You already understand the story. You know the characters. You know where everything is headed. Research from psychologist Crystal Russell suggests that revisiting familiar entertainment creates a sense of comfort, safety, and control. No surprises, no betrayals, no shocking deaths that ruin your mood for the rest of the week. You already survived the emotional damage once. Now you're simply spending time with old friends. But here's where it gets even more interesting. You're not actually experiencing the same story twice. I know that sounds impossible. It's the same episode, the same dialogue, the same jokes, the same will they, won't they tension, but you're not the same person you were the first time. Watch The Lion King as a kid and you're Simba. Watch it in your 20s and suddenly Mufasa makes a lot more sense. Watch it later in life and you find yourself emotional within the first few minutes because you finally understand everything he was trying to teach. The movie stayed the same. You changed. The Matrix works the same way. The first time it's cool, action scenes and bullet time. Years later, it starts looking like a metaphor about comfort, truth, and the choices people make. Different stage of life, different perspective, same movie, completely different experience. But there's another layer that people don't talk about enough, the social one. Think back to when you first watched your favorite show. Maybe it was every Thursday night with your sister. Maybe The Big Lebowski became your entire personality for a while. Maybe you and your roommate watched Die Hard every December before people started arguing about whether it's a Christmas movie. These stories become tied to memories. When you rewatch them, you're not only revisiting the story, you're revisiting a version of yourself, the person you were when those characters first mattered. And sometimes you're remembering people who shared those moments with you, the friend who moved away, the parent who introduced you to Groundhog Day, the ex who ruined the notebook, but somehow you still watch it anyway. Rewatching is comfort, but it's also memory. a way of keeping people close through stories you once loved together. Now let's bring this back down to earth. Sometimes the reason is much simpler. You're tired. Decision fatigue is real. You've already made thousands of choices today. What to eat, what to wear, which messages deserve a response, which emails can wait until tomorrow. Choosing a new show becomes one more decision, and every new show comes with risk. What if it's bad? What if you waste 3 episodes before realizing you don't care? What if it gets canceled after one season? What if everyone says it's amazing and you absolutely hate it? Or you could watch Good Will Hunting for the 30th time and cry during the It's Not Your Fault scene. No risk, maximum comfort, peak efficiency, and finally, the part that might make you feel seen. For many people, rewatching is a form of emotional regulation. It's self soothing when life feels chaotic. And let's be honest, when doesn't it? People naturally look for something stable, something where the jokes still land, where the emotional beats are familiar, where everything eventually resolves. Therapist Dr. Pamela Rutledge has pointed out that familiar content can reduce anxiety and increase feelings of control. It's basically a weighted blanket for your brain. Predictable emotions, safe sadness, that one Toy Story. 3 scene that destroys everyone every single time. You're not avoiding new experiences. You're choosing something that brings peace. So the next time someone judges you for watching When Harry Met Sally for the 15th time, remember there's actually some psychology behind it. You're not stuck in the past. You're finding comfort in familiarity, stability, and stories that have become part of your identity. New shows are great. New stories are worth exploring. But there's nothing wrong with returning to the ones that shaped you, the ones that still make you laugh, the ones that still make you cry even when you know exactly what's coming, the ones that remind you who you were before life became so complicated. Your comfort show isn't a crutch, it's a companion, a reminder of who you were, who you are, and maybe who you're becoming, a small piece of consistency in an inconsistent world. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a date with Michael Scott, again, for the 19th time, and I regret absolutely nothing.